Toward the end of March in 2012, I opened my computer to see this. Choke on it. It was a tweet that was directed towards me. The next thing that I saw was this. Fuck you, asshole. I'm a big bully. Yeah, well, make a movie about someone else, you asshole, asshole, asshole. It was also directed at me. For days and weeks and months, this went on. Every time I opened my computer, there were angry tweets, there were hostile messages, there were emails, there were YouTube comments, there were Vimeo comments. There was once a string of maybe 60 tweets that simply said, "You suck." There was also a very complex story that posited that I was a pedophile and I was running from state to state to escape the police. And that particular one had the hashtag that said, "Kid toucher bitch," which caused my crew to nickname me the notorious KTB. But also you can see on that one a hashtag that says, "Kill yourself." So what was it that I did to bring on this onslaught of hostile and angry messages? Well, about a year earlier, I had read some articles about an alarming number, 5 or 6 depending on the article, of teen suicides, allegedly from bullying, that were all happening in one school in one town in Ohio. And both the school and the town were ironically titled Mentor. So I'm a filmmaker, and that's how I like to look at things. And so I decided to go to Mentor, Ohio. And I found Mentor, Ohio extremely foreign to me. But it was difficult for me to figure out what exactly it was that felt off about it. And as I stayed there and observed the town, it seemed like it was a culture of conformity, either fit in or get out. So I put a crew together, a skeleton crew, and we started going regularly to Ohio and making a documentary. And the more that I spent time there, we wanted to talk to anybody who would talk to us. And I narrowed my subjects down to 2 sets of parents, the Vidovics and the Mohats. Both parents had lost children to suicide. In the Vidovics case, their daughter Slajana had hung herself, and in the case of the Mohats, their son Eric had shot himself. And both couples were bringing a lawsuit against the Mentor School District. I did try and talk to any representatives of the Mentor School District. I wanted to approach them with an open mind. I wanted to hear what they had to say about the bullying problem in their school. Ideally, I didn't want to demonize them. I would rather have worked with them and tried to find some kind of solution to this issue. Every single member of the Mentor School District declined to speak to me, every one of them. The more I learned about these cases, the more horrified I became. Slajana Vidovic's case especially stood out. A lot of bullying cases, parents don't know that their kids are being bullied. Teenagers just don't tell their parents everything. But in Slajana's case, she had been systemically bullied from 8th grade on. She had told her parents, and her parents had gone to the school again and again and again and again to ask for help, and they were ignored. Now, every time that the Vidovics went to the Mentor High School to complain, they took their older daughter with them to translate because they did not speak English. So not only were they being vigilant about the safety of their daughter, but they were doing it in a language that they didn't speak, in a culture, in a country that was completely foreign to them. And still, they did everything that parents should do in a situation like this, and the school continued to ignore them. The bullying got so bad for Slajana that she was eating her lunch every day in a bathroom stall, crying, so that she would not be in the cafeteria where kids would throw food at her. She was kicked down the stairs by a football player. She was touched inappropriately. She was made fun of for her clothes and for her accent and for a mole that she had on her face. Kids teased her for her name, which they rhymed with vagina. She received death threats on her cell phone after school. She received death threats at the pizza parlor where she had a job. She could never, ever get away from it. She couldn't escape it. And her parents were getting desperate, and they were not getting help from the school. So they sought outside help. Slajana had made a suicide threat, and they decided to admit her to an inpatient facility. When she got out of this facility and went back to school, all the students had heard that she had been there, and the bullying only intensified. So her parents decided that it was time to homeschool her. Sljana had always been really excited about her school prom. So when she was going to be homeschooled, she went to the mentor principal and she asked, if I'm being homeschooled, can I still attend prom? And he told her, no, I'm sorry, you cannot. And this was devastating news to her. Soon after that, Sljana took a rope and she tied one end to a bedpost and she hung herself out the window of her family home. And her sister found her and cut her down. And she was buried in the pink dress that she had chosen to wear to prom. When I heard that the bullies showed up at the funeral parlor and made fun of her in her casket and created a MySpace page saying how ugly the dress was that she was wearing, I had never heard anything like this before, and I was completely shocked. I think if you are going to make the argument that kids will be kids, then a teenager at some point has to realize that they've taken things too far. And if a kid's suicide is not that moment, then I don't know what possibly could be. When I personally received all of these threats and emails and tweets and messages, I had a mixture of emotions. I felt very upset. And I'm an adult, and I live in New York City, far away from Mentor, and I have friends and family and a really nice life and work that I enjoy doing. And still, it was very upsetting for me to open my computer and see that every single day. So imagine what a 16-year-old girl who has to physically walk into that environment and endure bullying so bad that she's crying in a bathroom stall every day. Imagine what she must feel. But I also felt like, in case there was any lingering doubt, the community had made my case for me. By turning their anger towards me, they had handed me the evidence that, yes, there is a problem in Mentor. But I don't think that kids behave this way in a vacuum. I think that they learn it from adults. And when I was receiving these messages, I was not only receiving them from students. I received messages from parents, I received messages from teachers, and I even received an email from one person who had no qualms about signing it, the Mentor Teachers Association. So I did have the names of many of the bullies, and I did try to reach out to them and see if they would talk to me. I was hoping that one of them might be able to explain how they got caught up in this kind of behavior and what had happened. None of them wanted to talk to me. And often I'm asked, well, why didn't you put their names in the film? Here's the problem that I have with pointing a finger at a bully who is underage. I believe that it lets everybody off the hook, everybody else. I think it lets the people who teach at the school off the hook. I think it lets all of the citizens of Mentor off the hook. I think it lets me off the hook. I think that it's way too easy to say, Mentor's a really big school, of course there's going to be a bad apple there, and then wash your hands and go home and forget about the whole thing. And also, I don't believe that that's what I was seeing happening in Mentor. In fact, I don't believe it's what happens anywhere. I remember very well when Columbine happened, Time magazine ran this cover, and it said, "The monsters next door," and I cringed when I saw it because I think when you point a finger at two teenagers and label them as monsters, you absolve everybody else of any kind of culpability. The problem in Mentor was systemic, but this is not just a story about bullying. And it's also not just a story about a high school that failed to take action in the face of clear and present danger. It's a story about all of our institutions that fail to take action. It's a story about our military, it's a story about our law enforcement, it's a story about our prisons, it's even a story about our global economic crisis. Anytime that we allow ourselves to be lulled into the trap of believing that like a perpetrator caught equals a problem solved, then we lose the opportunity to attack society's problems at its root cause. As Eric's father said to me once, "You don't want to be standing in my shoes. You really, really don't want to be."
Thank you. Remarkable.
A little fast.